I am Moa.
I am Maya.
Together, we are the co-founders of Earth Mothers Rising.
We walk alongside women in their conception, pregnancy, birth, and motherhood journeys.
The how is ever-changing because it is guided by the flow of our intuition.
The why is always the same. When women come together to heal, magic happens.
When women heal, we change the world.
Rise, Earth, Mothers rise, 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 Earth, Mothers rise, rise, rise.
Welcome to the Earth Mothers Rising podcast.
A space where the sacred birth workers Moa and Maya share about all things conscious conception, childbirth, pregnancy, and motherhood.
Always from a holistic perspective with a twist of magic. Are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
While you were making your little fire here, I got some inspiration and figured I'd pull a card for us to start with. And I got two of inspiration. So here goes the guidance. Seeking new paths for yourself, moving past your comfort zone, the activation of potential, desiring new experiences, travel and adventure, home and family, a heart full of ideas and thirst for expression, manifesting.
What?
The two of inspiration sees her desires on the horizon, and she begins to manifest the arrival of this opportunity by activating it in her heart and in her thoughts. She still has one foot rooted in her old life, yet she is taking the first step by peeking her head out and opening up to the possibility of this exciting new path. Oh, the things she could do. Sometimes it feels destined. Sometimes it feels wild, and on occasion, like today, she realizes that all the thinking and dreaming will never replace the doing, the going. The muse reminds you to grab your bags, your tickets, your trinkets, and your talismans, and keep ahead and step ahead into the unseen. Taking this step will forever change your trajectory, and if you want to move in the direction of your dreams, you must actively do so. Your extraordinary life requires extraordinary choices. Ooh. Did you get goosebumps too?
Not really goosebumps, but like just this like lift in my heart. Like, yes, like we couldn't have gotten a more spot on card for this.
I know, right? I know. And also two of inspiration. There's two of us. I feel like it's very symbolic.
Yeah.
We're also recording on the full moon in Aries, the super full moon. While this is not an astrology podcast, I think it's going to be hard for us to not talk astrology here and there.
Here and there. Every time.
Yeah. So Earth Mothers Rising, this is a new business venture.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is something that we're not going to share about just yet. But the podcast is another big part of it that's going to sort of travel alongside the other part of the business venture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. This is the beginning, and we wanted to bring you all along from the beginning and get to know you and let you get to know us. Because what we're going to offer later on, I think like the women that we want to serve, they need to know us, right? They need to understand who we are and what we bring and why they should.
I'm nodding here. I'm forgetting that we're recording our voices and not our...
Sure.
But yes, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. They need to know us.
Yeah, we want to be deep and personal and very vulnerable. So that's why this first episode is important to us, because, yeah, it's going to be about us, who we are, how we met, what this is, pretty much.
Exactly.
Should we start telling the story of how you and I met?
Yeah, it's a good start. That's a good start. So how did we meet?
Do you want to go from your perspective or my perspective?
Well, should we do like both? Kind
Yeah,
of
for sure.
weave them together.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Right. So, well, we met doing the Sacred Birth International Sacred Birth Worker mentorship.
Yeah.
So we are both sacred birth workers. And right away, so this is an online venture or course or journey or mentorship. So at first we didn't actually physically meet. But right away, I think even before the first circle that we had, I felt some kind of connection to you. I can't like pinpoint what. Well, I guess I can. It's like a soul past life connection, something like that, like a soul sister. And I just felt like an instant deep connection to you. And at the back of my mind, this whole journey, I've been thinking like, oh, she's someone I could, you know, have a business venture with. But it wasn't until, is it maybe a month ago now? 3 weeks? A month, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
So I got approached by someone else who wanted to do like a collaboration, co-creation. I don't need to go into details what exactly it was, but it was within like birth work and pregnancy. And when I read her email, when I opened it, I got like goosebumps and shivers throughout my body. And that's something I get when I feel like something that's aligned with my soul. And I was like, wow, what is this? Someone's just, you know, reaching out her hand, offering to collaborate. This is something I've been dreaming about. So at first it felt very aligned. But then as the days went on and I found out a little bit more about her and this idea, I just felt like, no, this isn't right. And it was a morning, I'd been visiting my dad. He lives about 7 hours away from here. So I'd been there for a couple of nights with my son. And I was about to leave to go back home. And I was going to call this girl, but I felt so much resistance. And then you came on my mind. And it was just this message or channeled information like, she's the one you're supposed to do this with. And then it just suddenly felt so right. And I was like, okay, I'll call this girl and then I'll call Mua and I'll approach her and see what she thinks about collaborating. And then I paused and I was like, but hang on, Mua is the one I actually want to do this with. Why don't I call her first? So I went in the car, started driving, and I called you. Well, I texted you before and asked you if you were available to talk. And we chatted away. And even before I mentioned anything about this, I just felt, yep, it's her. She's the one. Because we were just, you know, talking and our conversation just flowed so easily, as always. And we were talking deeply. And then I started telling you like the actual reason why I called you. And right away you were like, yes, yes, yes. And like, I felt like, you know, someone, like sometimes you talk to someone and you start a sentence and the other person just like weaves in and finishes the sentence. And it just got more and more clear that, yep, she's the one. So yeah, this is not how we met. This is what happened like 4 or 5 months after we met.
Well, what's coming through is what's supposed to come through, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's just so lovely to hear you tell this story. And I just get so excited and like honored that you felt this way about me and that you approached me. I'm so thankful for that. And like, I feel the exact same. Like, it was so cool when you approached me and the ideas you had, and I was like, but I've already started working on this, and like, yeah, it was just so completely aligned.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
too.
and
Like when you said, but I already have this idea. And it's like, are you kidding me? So we
yeah,
already both had the idea, because the other girl I was approached by, her idea was like sort of similar to this, but in a way not at all. So that's what made it feel not quite right. But I already had this idea, and I knew I wanted to do a business venture together with a soul sister. I've known that for a very long time, but it's been so hard finding that soul sister. But suddenly things just fell into place, and it's just the fact that you already had the exact same idea just makes it
yeah,
all the more magical.
yeah, and so cool. Like as soon as we started like talking about it, it just got better and better and better from like doing the back and forth, and like I was like, I have this idea, but you were like, no, but we can go even bigger, or we can do this, and then the other way around. Like it was just this so cool with like the co-creation of it. Like it just gets way more than twice as good.
Happiness and passion is better shared, right?
Right, right. And I didn't have like really, I hadn't thought about like doing this together with anyone. I think there was some fear there as well. Like I wanted to, like I was afraid of like overcommitting, and I wanted to like I was kind of shying away a little bit from something being too much work maybe, or someone else having expectations of me kind of. But like as soon as you asked me, I was like, yes, 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 yes. And you were talking about this other girl, and I was like, no, 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 don't do it. I want you to do it with me. And I got almost like a little jealous, kind of like, no, you should do this with me. So
Some
that was really
sisterhood
cute.
wound getting triggered there.
Yeah, for sure. Like, choose me. For sure. But also, like, just this knowing that I really, really wanted to do this with you, like, from the get go, as soon as you mentioned it, or as soon as I kind of understood what you were kind of wanting to say, like, when you started to, like, um, tell me, like, what you actually called for. So that was like, well, yeah, I think I know what's coming. Like,
And I remember this one thing you said, because you told me then, but I already had this idea, and I'm going to send you through a PDF with some thoughts and ideas that I've already started writing. And I've been wanting to do this, but I can't pinpoint what it was, but I felt like there was something missing, you said. And now I realize what was missing was you. So that
yeah,
was like,
right.
that really warmed my heart, and that made it feel even more right.
So beautiful. Yeah. Oh, that's true. I love that you bring that up. For sure. I was like working on it and like, yeah, this is great, but I don't know, you know. But now it just flows like wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to like how we when we actually like you and I met. So like I wanted to say also that like I really share that experience of like seeing you and being like, who's that? Like that's someone like I know, or like that's there was just this connection, you know, as you were talking about as well. And as soon as we started sharing and talking, and because like in the mentorship we share a lot, like in the community, like writing really long, deep posts about like who we are and what we've been through and everything. And everything you wrote was always like so much like recognition or just connection. And yeah, I just loved reading your posts and your comments on my posts, and I always wanted to comment like so much on your like really long replies, and like right away it was just this back and forth, and yeah, this deep recognition in you. But I didn't understand like that we could do something like this. I was more like, this is Soul Sister. This is really like a true friend. Yeah. But now it's so much
That's
more like, yeah.
Yeah. Because doing something like this, like co-creating, it's very vulnerable somehow, and it needs to be truly aligned. I really think it's very hard to share a business venture with someone, and starting a business, you need to be aligned on so many levels, and that's what I feel with you, and that's why I also think this is going to be extra magical.
Yeah.
We're still not sharing quite what it is that we're going to do. But it will grow, it will evolve, people will understand. For now, it's a podcast, and the podcast is going to be about childbirth, pregnancy, conscious conception, motherhood, all things magical women stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All things magical women stuff. I love that. That should be like our slogan. Yeah, for sure. And like we're envisioning like just talking the two of us, and like going deep into like who we are and like our experiences as well with these things, but also like inviting guests and things like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of really good episodes coming up.
Definitely. I used to have a podcast. That one was in Swedish though. And I always knew I wanted to start it back up, because I put it on hold for a bit when I went on maternity leave. I have a son who's 6 months old now. So I put it on hold for a bit, and I've been thinking that I want to pick it back up again. But I also remember saying at the beginning of the mentorship, when we were introducing ourselves to one another, I said, oh, and I have a podcast, but it's in Swedish, and I've been thinking about rebranding it a little bit, and I want it to be in English. And now it makes sense, because I've also been wanting to not only start a business with someone, but also start a podcast with someone. But it's the same thing there. It's been very hard to find that person to do it with. But now it makes sense that it was you who were the missing puzzle piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So cool. Everything's just like falling into place.
Yeah.
And it's really funny because we didn't think that we would start a podcast like from the start, really. Like we were kind of talking about it, and like, can we incorporate like podcast like content in the other thing we're doing, kind of, or but then when we finally were like, nah, we gotta start a podcast, like it just felt so right and so much fun, like so much excitement. So yeah, I'm sure it's really meant to be.
Yeah. I mentioned I have a son. He's sleeping over here. I'm hoping that he's going to give us another 45 minutes so we can record this podcast. But if he wakes up, he wakes up. We also said that this might be not perfect. That's sort of our mantra, that things doesn't have to be perfect. So here and there you might hear him in the background. Here and there you might hear your dogs in the background as well. So
Yeah. You never know.
So
There's just
if you hear a little baby, then you know what it is, or a dog.
yeah. And like you said, like we're just embracing it. Like there's babies and dogs, and just it's life, right?
Right, that's life.
Yeah.
That's motherhood. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to
we're-
tell me a little bit more about yourself, your journey into the Sacred Birthworker mentorship? What brought you there? Who is Moa?
Right, who am I and where do I start to answer that question? I think we tend to kind of start with like what we work with or something, but yeah, I'm just gonna start, like, not overthink it. So I am like educated as a psychologist. So like I don't have the like license because you have to work as a psychologist for a year, but like my education is as a psychologist. So and I love that work in so many ways, that one-to-one, like going really deep, really working through big things, traumas, and really supporting another person through that journey. I love that work, but there's so much more to working full-time as a psychologist within the healthcare system. And I just knew that, like, when I was finished, I just really knew, like, I don't want to do that. That is not what I want to do. So,
And is that because there is like a, what's it called, like a regulating body in Sweden who controls very much what you can and can't do? There's a lot of rules and regulations. We were actually just talking about that earlier this morning. There's a big thing going on right now in Sweden, also with midwives. That's been going on for a very, very long time. There's like a witch hunt. And it's very hard to work as a witch under those rules and regulations.
yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
the reason it felt wrong?
I think so, at the heart of it, yes. I haven't really been able to see that until we started to really work through the witch wound and like what it actually is that we're licensing people and kind of controlling, like who gets to do, like say that they are a certain thing, and like the history of that. And maybe we can go deeper into that in another episode, but we talked a lot or we went deep with that in the mentorship. So I think the understanding of my not really wanting to go after my license really deepened when we went through that. So that's for sure a part of it. But it's also just like I've been burnt out quite a few times. I have struggled, well, with generational trauma, really, carrying a lot of trauma from my lineage, and a lot of mental health issues connected with that. And there's been a lot of healing and a lot of destructive patterns that I've had to break. So I've been really, really burnt out, like quite a few times already, but like I hope I won't be any more times. But what I mean is that I'm 28 years old, and I've already in my life been burnt out and like on sick leave and everything a couple of times. So
Because you've been trying to live in the 3D world, as we call it, the muggler world.
Yes, God, I love that. Such an Harry Potter fan as well, like the muggler world. Yeah, exactly, and fit in for sure, and being like the good girl and fitting into, like doing things and being things that I think that other people will understand, kind of. So like I'm a psychologist, like people get what that is. And it was sort of a compromise. Like I do love parts of that work, and it's like a good job. Like people like respect it and they know what it is, and yeah. But apparently that was not the road for me. So as you say, it was way too 3D and way too restricted, and also
Way
like
too
the idea.
masculine, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, for sure. And
Like if we're
all the
talking energies.
yeah, and that's really like a good way of saying like that it's too like working full time at like a hospital, with all the administrative work and all the um, just other stuff than actually meeting people and being so restricted in what tools I use. And because I really love things like astrology and yeah, magic stuff.
Imagine seeing a client as a psychologist and you ask her for her birth details to pull out her birth chart.
Exactly.
That
And
wouldn't go down well.
no, and actually that's illegal. Like I could lose my license for that.
And that's crazy. Why?
Yeah, why? If that is something that like actually benefits like both parts, like why? Because I couldn't even like it's one thing maybe like when you go to hospital because you have a problem that astrology might not be what you're met with, but and it's not for everyone, but also like I couldn't even do it like on the side. Like that's illegal too. Like I couldn't
Oh,
like
wow. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So not just like okay, now I'm working as a psychologist, I can't talk about astrology. Like it's even on the side, I can't do any of that. I can't like yeah, so I would be super, super restricted. Being a spiritual person, really.
In
And also just
free Sweden.
yeah, we're so free.
Yeah, so free.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but like yeah. So I'm just yeah, there's something I really want to get out. Like working full time was not for me. And I knew that I wanted, or I know that I want a big family, like so many kids, and I want to be free and I want to have a lot of time with them, and I don't want them to go to like preschool or kindergarten or whatever you call it until they're 3 years old for so many reasons. We can probably talk about things like that as well in the future.
Yeah, there will definitely be episodes about that.
Yeah, yeah. So like I knew that I wanted a way freer life. So about like a little bit more than a year ago, me and my partner moved from Uppsala, where I studied, to the north of Sweden, outside of Östersund, to a teeny tiny little cabin where I am right now, in the woods. We don't have running water, nothing. It was really cheap, and we live in a really cheap way. And I knew, like, okay, I can take my time to find my footing again before I start looking for jobs. And I was studying a little bit more, and I was like feeling into like, what do I want to do? And I was like slowly kind of peeling back the layers of who I thought I was and who I thought I was going to be, what I was going to do, and just slowly letting go of that and realizing that my future was probably going to look way different from what I thought it would. So at some point I was even like, maybe I'm not going to like work at all. Maybe like I'm going to grow food for us and take care of our children, and that will be it, kind of. So I was at that point, and from that point, and I was really talking to my partner about this, and he was really supportive. And so I think I needed to arrive at that point to like really be open to like what it was that I was supposed to do, kind of to really peel back all the layers. And then I realized like, but it's not enough for me. Like it's not my path. There's something more there. And so parallel to all this, I started listening to Anna's podcast, the Natural Birth podcast.
So Anna is our mentor, we should mention maybe. In
Yeah,
Sacred
good,
Birth
good.
International. Yeah.
Exactly. So I started listening to that podcast, and I'm just really a birth nerd. And I've also, for the longest time, said like, oh, I should maybe be a midwife, but that's not really, I don't want to be a nurse and kind of all that. And the medical system
Again,
isn't
coming
really
back to
my thing.
working within the
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, how do I do this? I was so pulled to certain aspects of working with like mental health and birth and women and children, but like the system just wasn't for me. So I was listening to the podcast and finally realized, because she talks a lot about her mentorship on that podcast. And so one day I just finally realized like this is what I'm gonna do. So I've been saying for the longest time that I want to work with women, children, like with birth, postpartum, but I don't want to work within the system. And so one day I was just listening to that podcast and heard her talk about the mentorship, and I was like, right, this is it. Like I can like coach women, like just hold space and speak with them. And I can
As a
be in the
witch,
birth-
not as a psychologist.
Exactly, as like a space holder and a channeled guide, and like with all the knowledge and all the wisdom and all the connection that I have. Like I don't have to watch what I say, or like I can just do it my way, and I can do it from home and to the extent that I want, and I can be in the birth portal and I can serve in the postpartum. Like everything just fell into place, and I just applied and I talked to our mentor like the next day or something, and I was like doing it, and it was just over a couple of days it was just happening.
I'm sitting
So
here
I-
with the biggest smile on my face and in my heart.
So beautiful. I feel your energy all the way here, like just so I don't know if all that made sense, but like
Make total sense.
okay, good. Good. So now we're here, and I am a birth worker, and a sacred space holder, and I'm just doing my thing and sharing my gifts, in like to serve women and myself. Like I just felt like saying that now, like myself and my family. Like there are ways that we can work to serve both ourselves and others, and that is just so like at the heart of what we're doing. Like we want women and families, children to heal and be in a space where they feel good and are healthy and happy, and like don't feel the pressure of like the system around us to like
I feel like I want to
be-
say live life the feminine way, or do
Yeah.
business the feminine way. Now, that's not going to be for everyone. And obviously, men can't live life the feminine way. They need to be living the masculine way, but in a healthy masculine way. And that's what we want to inspire people to do.
Yeah, I love that. And for us to do it as well. Like we're important too. like we are as important as the women that we want to help, and that is just really at the core for me and for us, I think, with this whole business venture and what we want to do. We want to support other in healing and in living this beautiful, luscious, happy, aligned life, but we also want to give that to ourselves. And I mean, there's no like opposition in that. Like there's no contradiction.
resistance.
No, because it's just synergy. Like it just works together. So yeah, that's
I
a
love
bit
that.
about me.
I love that. I mean,
Thank
I know
you.
your story from before, but it's always so good hearing you speak about it again, because it's beautiful reminders. And there's always new layers when you talk about it. So I love that.
So beautiful. Like I feel like also like we know each other very well, but we also haven't known each other for a very long time. So there's always like new layers and more to discover and like, yeah.
Yeah.
But Maya, I would love to hear about you.
Who am
Who are you?
I?
Yeah.
It's so easy, like you say, to start with, well, I'm Maya, I'm this many years old, I live here, this is my education, blah, blah, blah. But that would be muggler me. Soul me is someone completely different, even though they weave together, obviously. I'm thinking where should I start my journey towards, like, where should I start telling the story about, like, my journey towards becoming a birth worker? I feel like it started probably, like, I started venture to more towards into health, even though my idea of health was very different way back then. But it started maybe 2011-ish. And it started by me becoming obsessed with exercise and my idea of what healthy eating was back then, which is completely different now, but we'll get to there.
For sure.
I've suffered from eating disorders since I was around 11, 12 years old. I'm 37 now. So in one way or another, I've always had a very unhealthy relationship to exercise and food. But about around 2011, when I was, well, how old was I then? 23 or something, 22-ish. I started becoming obsessed with running and training in the gym. I moved to Australia and just getting more and more obsessed with gym training. I was hanging out with a bunch of guys down there who all had their own gym spaces in their garage or backyard. So they taught me, you know, the basics of strength training. And I got more and more into it. And then I moved, this was in Perth, and then I moved to Sydney to study my bachelor's degree. I have a bachelor's degree within health and fitness. And when I moved there, like the fitness industry is huge there. A lot of bodybuilding, a lot of, you know, sports. But I was in the gym and I wanted a goal with my training. And gym training is not a sport, so the only thing you can compete in is bodybuilding, right? So I wanted to compete in bodybuilding. But to me, all bodybuilding actually is an eating disorder under the cover of Like it's like a sport, but it's not sport. It's an eating disorder. It's obsession with food and exercise. So my eating disorder became that. I did that for a couple of years. Totally starved myself, overtrained, was just totally consumed and obsessed with my body and what it looked like and building muscles. And then I had a tough wake-up call towards the end of that career, if you can call it a career, but it was a few weeks before my last competition. I actually have a podcast episode about this in my other podcast. We could maybe link it if people are interested to listen. I'm not going to go too deep into that journey. But yeah, it was a few weeks before my last competition. I had a coach, a man, coaching a woman how to eat and how to train. Very much not right. And I just got so sick. My whole body just shut down. And like all along, I knew somewhere deep inside that this is not right. This is not healthy. But you're so unhealthy in your mind that you tell yourself that it is healthy, that it is good. And you're so obsessed and addicted to the endorphins and adrenaline that you get from the training, but also, you know, the superficial side. You look yourself in the mirror, you see this ripped six-pack. So you sort of convince yourself that it's good, that you're happy, but you're only happy like superficially, not on a soul level. Anyway, I got very sick. And I told myself, okay, I'm just going to do this last competition and then that's it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I pulled through, did the last competition, placed second in Australia, if that's important. I don't know why I feel like telling that. And then Monday morning, I went and did CrossFit instead. Because now I wanted to train for performance, not for aesthetics. Because I thought that would be healthier. And in many ways it was. In many ways I am so, so grateful that I made that step. But CrossFit hasn't been healthy for me either. It's just been obsession, but in a different way. It's been obsession still with my appearance, but also performance. Just completely been overtraining and stressing myself and my nervous system out. Had many tough wake-up calls along the journey, but apparently not tough enough because I kept doing it, even though maybe a little bit healthier and a little bit healthier each time.
But I mean, I know you're still like very much in the process of like learning what health and balance, like really truly caring for yourself, like what that is. But still, like what you're describing now and what you're doing today is very different. So I feel like you've had like tough wake-up calls and as you say, and they have for sure like taking you in this direction, right? Or
yeah, definitely. I've come a long way. I definitely have, especially now speaking about it, comparing where I was 12, 13 years ago and what my idea of health was then compared to now. It's like polar opposites. My idea of health back then, again, talking about masculine and feminine, but it was a very masculine way, you know, performance and control and restricting yourself, and, you know, strict routines. Whereas now I want to really step into the feminine energy and live totally in tune with my intuition and just do what feels right. Like I'm constantly asking myself before I do a workout now, or if it's yoga or whatever it is, like, do I do this because I think it's what I should be doing, or do I actually feel like this today? And I really listen in on my inner voice, and then I do whatever I feel like it is that I should be doing. Not should be doing, that I
So
want
good.
to be doing, not what I should be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So good.
But
so
anyway,
good.
like my last tough wake up call, well, 2 last wake up calls was early this year, around January, when I was pregnant with my son. I don't know what it was, but it was just one day in the gym, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Even though I wasn't training as hard as I had been for a very long time, I was still training harder than you probably should be when you're pregnant. And I'm not saying it's wrong to train when you're pregnant. It's all about balance, and it's all about like your previous experience and levels and whatnot. But the way I was training wasn't good for me. And I asked myself, why? Why am I doing this? And I broke up with CrossFit and started doing only yoga for the rest of my pregnancy. And then with my son's birth, I had another tough wake-up call. That's probably going to be another episode for another time, his birth story. That again made me shift my perspective and my idea. Now he's waking up, I think. I heard him.
Yeah, I think I heard him as well.
Hang on, I'll go pick him up.
He's entering the scene.
Rise, earth, mother's rise.
Hello.
All right, Neo has arrived.
Yeah. Our little.
We'll see how this
third
goes. I'm
wheel.
hoping he's not going to want to put the microphone in his mouth or something.
He's gotta have his say.
Yeah, that's very interesting, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, so that's my journey with health. I haven't told why I wanted to get into birth work, but it's sort of very, very intertwined. When I was pregnant with my daughter, so I have 2 children. My daughter, she just turned 3, and then I have my son, he's 6 months now. When I was pregnant with her, I was someone who was very, very, very scared of childbirth. A lot of fears. But also this deep, like, curiosity was awoken within me because I listened to a lot of birth podcasts back then. And I remember dreaming of having my own birth podcast in the future where I had, you know, women come on and tell their birth stories. So that's what I did all that pregnancy. I listened to a lot of women's birth stories, but the birth stories I heard then was often hospital births. Actually, I don't even think I heard one single home birth podcast during that pregnancy. But I gave birth to her. That's also another episode for another time. But I kept listening to birth stories, and I was still obsessed with childbirth. I remember listening to a podcast with a doula one day, and I was like, wow, I want to do that. I want to support women in childbirth. And I also started wondering if maybe I wanted to become a midwife. But as with you, something just didn't feel right. I couldn't see myself, because what you have to do in Sweden, you have to first go be a nurse. You have to have a bachelor's degree within, what's it called? Nursing?
Yeah.
No, yeah, as a nurse.
I think so.
You have to study for 3 years to become a nurse, and then you have to work for, if it's like 1 or 1.5 year, before you can apply to do the midwife training, and then you do that for, if it's a year, I think.
I think so.
So it's a long journey. It's a journey within a system that I don't resonate with. It just didn't feel right. I couldn't see myself working like that. So I put that dream on hold for a bit. And then when I got pregnant with my son, that dream started pulling and tugging at me again. I was again listening to a lot of birth podcasts. I also realized what a trauma my daughter's birth had been. and I wanted to do it differently this time. I found Anna's podcast. Actually, I heard of Anna even before I got pregnant. I heard her in, not her own podcast, but she was being interviewed in another Swedish podcast. And that was the same then. I was like, wow, I want to be a doula. And it was probably the first time that I actually heard about home birth and why home birth is so magical. When I heard her speak about it. But fast forward, I got pregnant. I listened to her podcast the whole pregnancy, and I was just getting more and more and more and more obsessed. And she mentioned the Sacred Birthworker Mentorship, like you said. But for some reason, I thought you had to already be a doula to do it. So I didn't really think there was something I could do. Until one day, I was like, hang on, I think you can actually do this without being a doula. You don't have to have any previous experience. And I looked more into it and read about it, and I was like, this is it. This is it. Wow. What is this? And I booked in for a clarity call with Anna. And when you're asked to, when you book in, you're asked to fill out a form, telling who you are a little bit and why you want to do this and, what your dreams are, or yeah. And I remember sitting there writing, and I started crying because I realized, and I start crying now telling you about it again, because I realized how strong of a soul calling this is for me. I don't even remember what it was that I wrote, but it just touched my own heart. And before I had even spoken to her, I decided that, yeah, I'm going to do this. But also something that made me resist, or made me not quite sure, was what my partner would say. Because I had mentioned to him that first time when I heard that first podcast about a doula speaking about her profession, I had told him wow, I want to be a doula too. And he reacted very harshly. And because he didn't quite understand what it was, and I had already, changed my career quite recently, and he saw it just as some new impulsive idea of mine, something new that I would do. He didn't realize how strongly I felt about this, and he said something like, when are you gonna make up your mind? Whereas to me it was so obvious that this is completely aligned with what I'm already doing, because I'm a healer, and also a massage therapist. I have my own healing studio. I do tarot readings, and psychic guidance. So I could completely see how this was so aligned with what I was already doing, but he didn't understand that. So his reaction is probably also what made me put this dream on hold. And when I found this mentorship, I realized how worried I was to tell him that I wanted to do this. But I did. And I was expecting the same reaction. But he was like, yeah, this is it. This is so you. You should totally be doing this. This is just the perfect timing. And he was so supportive, and it just made it feel so good when I had his blessing. Not that I need his blessing, but obviously you want your life partner's blessing, So that was sort of the last puzzle piece that had to fall into place, knowing that I had his blessing. Because the person he is today understands childbirth in a completely different way than the person he was back then. And that goes for me too. My idea of childbirth now is completely different than when I first came across the doula profession. So the time just wasn't right back then. And I think, on a energetic or soul level, he was meant to say that, because if I had started that venture back then, it would have been not the way it was supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now the timing was right. And I had the call with Anna, and I think we hadn't even started talking yet. And I said, I've already decided I'm going to do this. And that was it. I signed up, and it just felt so right. All that fear I had felt just melted away.
Mm.
And I just knew. And the more I got into it, the more right it felt. And I can't even begin to tell you what a journey this year has been for me, like starting with my son's birth in April, and then the mentorship was actually meant to start in April, but she postponed it to May, which was just so perfect timing for me as well, because I would have been 1 week postpartum otherwise. So we started in May, and it's just been this huge rebirth. It's been such a healing journey. So many magical women have come into my life, you being one of them.
Mm.
Everything just falls into place. And I think
Yeah.
that's it. When you do what you're supposed to be doing, when you do something that's so aligned with your passion and like your calling in life, everything just makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it is scary, but that's because it's so right. Like, I think that the bigger the dream and the more right it is to your soul, the more fear you're also going to feel and come across and have to work through. And also doing all this healing work and working against all those fears, it's almost, well, not almost, it is, it's fun when you're surrounded by this huge community of soul sisters doing it alongside you. And it's not just people from within the mentorship that have come into my life, it's also people from other places that have fallen into place, which feels like soul sisters. Wow. I don't even know what I'm talking
So
about anymore.
cool.
But I
It's just
think
flowing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
like,
my journey.
yeah, so
It's also
beautiful.
interesting how it started. I started as someone super scared of childbirth, and even had the idea that why would someone ever want to be a midwife? Why would you want to do that? That was my idea before I got pregnant. And now
Wow.
I'm like, how can not every woman in the world want to be a midwife?
Wow. So cool. And I just got this like really intense, like maybe also like that's the witch wound playing up in you. Also like knowing that that's your calling, but also being scared of that, like really the power of that and like
Yeah.
what it is as a woman to step into that realm. I mean,
Yeah.
we all have women in our lineage that have been very, very, very hurt by
Oh, yes.
doing that.
Oh,
So,
yes. Can you feel it too with this full moon that's just been? I think it culminated about 3 hours ago. It peaked. Can you feel how much generational trauma there is that's been surfacing, or is that just me? I'm also thinking
I,
with this news article that I sent you earlier about that midwife who lost her license.
yeah, what I do feel is this very, it's felt ominous and heavy, kind of, the energy. And as you said, like the article you sent about the Swedish midwife that has been forbidden to practice as a home birth midwife, because she's assisted births
That they
of
consider
twins.
risky.
Yeah, that they consider risky, exactly. So Um, yeah. So I really connected that with like the energy now. Like, yeah, there's something.
Because
Do you
for
want to
me
expand?
personally,
Mm.
no, but I've just noticed for me personally, there's been a lot of like childhood trauma, not necessarily for me personally resurfacing, but well, in my family, in within my partner.
Mm.
Yeah, I see some patterns. I see a lot of healing about to take place within that.
Yeah, yeah, that's wonderful. That's also like with these intense energies that we have, like it's hard and it's a lot, but it always catalyzes. Like if you let it, it catalyzes healing every time. Like, and I can feel that for sure in like slightly other areas of life. Like there's all, of course, like the transits, like in within your chart will decide like where
What's triggered?
exactly what's triggered and like where in your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think it's been a lot with like sexuality, things like that. Me and my partner
Some
have had some.
Scorpio energy there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Like I don't think like neither of us has very much Scorpio like in our charts. Although I have like my sun and quite a few other things in the eighth house, but the Scorpio house.
I was
But
gonna say you probably have something going on in your eighth house, in your Scorpio house right now.
yeah, I think so. And I think the moon really passed through. Should have. I haven't really looked at my transits this week, but anyhow, there's a lot of
Let's just
Scorpio
say
energy.
it's been intense.
Yeah, yeah. It's been intense. Wow, that's a tangent, astrology tangent. As we warned in the beginning, there might be a few of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is
But
there
yeah.
anything else you would like to add to the story about Moa or Earth Mother's Rising?
Wow, there's probably so much more. And I thought when you were speaking, you did touch on that, like just a little bit after I thought about it. But like, there's so much that I want to hear about, like your journey to becoming a healer. And you're such a magical, like energy healer and tarot reader. And I mean, it's so much magic and it's such a luxury to just like get that. Like I just
You're
through
making me
working with you.
blush now.
Good. No, but like I really want you to know this. Like you're so amazing at this. And I would just love to hear more about that. But maybe that's a story for another time. Do we feel like it's time to start to wrap up, or do you want to
Yeah.
speak to that?
Let's do that. I think that's another episode for another time. We can talk about our own specific healing. I mean, your healing looks different to mine, and that's why we complement each other so well as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's leave that for another time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But then I think maybe we should wrap up because there's obviously things floating around and there's more to say and more layers, but I would love to share that, like, follow us on Instagram, Earth Mother's Rising, and our like personal. Maybe we can just put everything in the description.
We'll put all the details. Yeah, we'll put all the
Yeah.
details in the episode information description thingy.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. Everything's down below. Is there anything that you still want to say?
No, I can't wait for this journey. And I can't wait to let you guys get to know us, but also get to know you guys and invite many magical women onto this podcast. actually think it's perfect timing to round up here because he's getting a bit restless,
Yeah, he's had
as you
enough.
might hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we so look forward to this. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
When women come together to heal, magic happens. When women heal, we change the world. Rise, Earth, Mother's Word.